Welcome to a special edition of the Sports Whip. Tonight we're only going to be talking about SEC football. And why not? The Southeastern Conference is quite possibly one of the most successful conferences in college football. So get ready as Kory, Jason, Dom, and Alex discuss the games that everyone has been looking forward to. LSU versus Florida, Alabama versus Ole Miss, and much more. I'm Beth Kincade, and this is the Sports Whip.
Hey, I'm Kory Keys. Welcome to a special SEC edition of the Sports Whip. With me here are the most hardworking men in sports media, Jason Smith, Alex Lake, and Dom Rodriguez. Well, guys, we got a couple games to preview to start. Florida LSU, this is the game in Baton Rouge, which is going to be the game. It's the ESPN College Game Day. That's where game day is going to be in Baton Rouge. Florida LSU, how much is this going to hinge on Tim Tebow's health?
Well, having Tebow is always going to help you, but I still think Florida has enough talent that with Brantley they can still pull it off despite being in Death Valley.
Right, I'm right there with you. I think having Tim Tebow is definitely going to help Florida, but even if they don't have him, I feel that Florida's defense is just way too strong.
I think what they said. I think it definitely helps, but for I like LSU. It's at Death Valley. It's at night, so they that gives them the upper hand.
LSU offensively is kind of sputtered to begin with. Jordan Jefferson has been just okay. Charles Scott hasn't broken out yet. Has LSU been exposed offensively?
I definitely think so. You got to look at the Georgia game where Charles Scott broke a huge run, mainly because of poor tackling by Georgia. And like you said, Jefferson's just been okay as an SEC quarterback. I don't think they're anything special.
I agree with you, Jason. I feel that LSU is one of those teams, though. They keep coming back and they keep winning these big games, and it just seems to be something that they do. So I think it's going to be a great game Saturday night.
I wouldn't so much say exposed. I think the fact that Jefferson is only a sophomore and he doesn't have a lot of experience in the offense, they're trying to keep things real simple and I don't want to maybe keep it vanilla, I guess, if you want to use that word. But I think they'll be okay.
The next game we're going to preview is Georgia and Tennessee from Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee. This is a rivalry game, and this is a game that you would think Georgia would be able to handle. But could Tennessee have a chance here?
I don't see it happening. Crompton just doesn't do it as an SEC quarterback still, despite his somewhat mediocre performance last week. I think Georgia has it still.
Right. I think Georgia's definitely still got this game. I just feel that Jonathan Crompton has been such a problem with the quarterback situation at Tennessee. I feel that Georgia's defense is just good enough.
I think Crompton, that like what you guys said, he's definitely not SEC material, but I like Tennessee's defense. They've forced Auburn into a bunch of 3-and-outs, a lot of field goals, so that might be a deciding factor.
And Alex and I talked about this last night on the College Sports Power Hour on Rebel Radio 92.1. Is it a point to where now Georgia is just average? What would you think there?
I think losing guys like Matthew Stafford and Knowshon Moreno are definitely going to set you back some. But on the defensive side of the ball, you have to be a little concerned and wonder what's going on there to the point where they might be just an average SEC team right now.
Right, I think they're an average SEC team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But then you look on the offensive side of the ball, and then you've got players like A.J. Green, that make them extraordinary. So that's just what
Georgia, to me, they kind of confuse me a little bit. One game they're putting up 40-plus points against South Carolina, and then they play LSU, and they can only manage 13. So I never really know what to expect out of them week to week.
Well, guys, the game that we're all looking forward to is this Saturday, Vaught-Hemingway Stadium, the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Ole Miss Rebels. This is the game that everybody's been talking about earlier in the season. There were rumors that College Game Day would be in town for this game. Houston Nutt, Nick Saban. This is the game that everybody talked about as the showdown in the SEC West. Things haven't looked all that great for Ole Miss yet, and Alabama has looked legit. Are the Rebels in trouble?
I don't think so. I think they're right where they want to be. They're the underdog. Everybody kind of forgot about him after South Carolina, and that's perfect for Houston Nutt and his style of coaching.
For Houston Nutt, I would say they are exactly where they want to be, but offensively, they just haven't gotten anything done. They haven't impressed me, but you keep waiting on that breakout game from that Ole Miss offense because they're capable.
To me, I think this is our season. We're backed into a corner. our national title hopes that everyone had in the beginning of the year are kind of out the window. We're looking just, win the SEC West, make it to Atlanta. So I think this is a game that you have to take as this is a must win. We cannot lose this game.
Defensively, Ole Miss has been great to start, but how are they going to contain the best rushing attack that they've seen up to this point in the season with Mark Ingram and Trent Richardson for Alabama?
Well, it definitely helps that you have such a great defensive line. Right. Greg Hardy, not 100% yet, but he's getting there. And also you got Jarrell Poe in the middle, Taylor Lawan Scott, and everybody else now. And the linebackers have really come a long way.
I tell you what, I'm not so much worried about stopping the run as much as I am stopping a Julio Jones and a Greg McElroy.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think you're going to need pressure from your front seven, and you're going to need that defensive backfield to play outstanding in order to, to be successful against this Alabama offense.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to pick the rest of the SEC games, so stay tuned. Welcome back to an all-SEC Sports Whip with Jason, Dom, and Alex. I'm Kory Keys. Now, the second half of the show, we're just going to do a little pick-em variety here, just the SEC games. I'm going to go through, ask each of you what you think, who you think is going to win each game. You guys ready to go?
Yep,
Let's do it.
All right, first game, Arkansas and Auburn.
I like Auburn and Gus Malzahn's offense.
I like Auburn simply because of Arkansas has no defense.
I like Auburn and their running game.
All right, well, I'm going to take Arkansas just to somewhat be different. Next, the second game is Mississippi State and Houston from Starkville.
Houston's offense could be too much for Dan Mullen and the Bulldogs.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Buckham for UTEP last week had 262 yards against this Houston defense. I think Anthony Dixon will break out and have a big game. Mississippi State wins.
I'm going to take Houston.
All right, I'm going to go with Houston too. South Carolina and Kentucky.
South Carolina's defense, way too much for Kentucky and Mike Hartline.
Talent for South Carolina just beats out Kentucky way too much. South Carolina.
I'm going to take South Carolina too.
I'm right with you with the Gamecocks. Georgia, Tennessee. We talked a little bit about it. What's your pick?
Going with the Bulldogs.
I'm going with Georgia.
I'm going to take Tennessee.
I'm going to go with Georgia to make it 3-1. Florida, LSU.
Got to go with the Gators.
Oh, I've got Florida in their defense.
LSU. It's at Death Valley at night.
I'm going to go with the Gators as well. Ole Miss, Alabama. Make your pick.
I'm going to break the trend. I'm going to say the Rebels win.
Uh-oh.
Well, just to be consistent, I've got to go with Alabama. I think that defense is just way too good for this Rebel offense.
I'm going to say Ole Miss.
And I'm going to go with Alabama. We're going to split it 2-2. So when we come back next week, if we lose, me and Alex are definitely going to eat crow here on set.
That will do it for us here on the Sports Whip. Enjoy your college football weekend. We'll see you next week.